Welcome to the second installment in MASSP's 2018 Legislative Screencast Series. My name is Bob Kefchin, and I am MASSP's Director of Government Relations. If you have questions about anything covered in this recording, please feel free to contact me. In this screencast, I will cover some important details that principals will want to know about the ongoing rollout of the Michigan Marshall Plan for Talent. In addition, I will review several related education policy changes that stemmed from the work of the Career Pathways Alliance. Many of these will impact students and educators during the 2018-19 school year and have implications for almost every secondary school in the state. At this point, you know what the headlines have said about the Marshall Plan for Talent. To wit, it's $100 million in available funding primarily for education. But today let's go into the details, because if your school is thinking about applying for Marshall Plan money, there are things you need to know. First, the dollars available to schools total about $59 million, not $100 million. The money will be distributed through a competitive grant process focused on expanding innovative, competency-based programs that prepare students for high-demand careers and involve the schools partnering with local employers. So what funds are available for which projects? $28 million is allocated for creating competency-based education programs, particularly programs that lead to certificates targeted at high-demand, high-wage careers. Another $2 million will be allocated in grants to support schools that are early adopters of large-scale competency-based instructional models. $10.5 million is available for hiring career navigators, and $18.5 million in equipment grants will be available to support new or existing programs for high-demand, high-wage careers. Note that these are competitive grants, not formula funding. In order to compete, districts and ISDs will need to form talent consortia. A talent consortium is a formal partnership between one or more schools and two or more businesses, but may also include post-secondary institutions, community organizations, trade unions, or other similar groups. You've heard the term high-demand field quite a bit so far. That term specifically means the professional trades, manufacturing, engineering, information technology and computer science, machine learning and artificial intelligence, mobility, healthcare, and business. So a successful grant application will focus on one or more of these areas. Finally, in order to address concerns that a competitive grant process puts smaller districts at a disadvantage, a specific portion of the funding is earmarked for grants to small districts, another portion for medium-sized districts, and another for large districts. Recently, the state announced a timeline and three-stage application process for the Marshall Plan grants. The window is open now for the first stage, and Talent Consortia may submit a concept summary for review and comment. The second and third stages are slated to begin in September and October, respectively. If you want to participate but can't make this timeline work, 2 more rounds of grants are planned, one beginning in January of 2019 and the second in April. Note that this is the best information available to date, but it may change. On August 14th, the Michigan State Board of Education met and failed to approve the proposed application process described here. It's unclear whether this decision will stop the grant application process from moving forward, but our best advice at this point is that districts planning to apply for grants should act on the information available so as not to fall behind. Information is also available on the Marshall Plan webpage, michigan.gov/marshallplan, and MASSP has also compiled links to a number of resources in the article accompanying this webcast. Now, let's pivot away from the Marshall Plan for Talent, which is the funding side of the issue, to the Michigan Career Pathways Alliance, the policy side. The Career Pathways Alliance is a group of education, business, and industry stakeholders that came together and released recommendations in the spring of 2017 related to trying to improve students' work readiness. That group came up with 19 total recommendations, and while the focus was exclusively on workforce preparedness, the impact of those recommendations was much broader, including changes to the state's merit curriculum law, education development plan process, and school improvement plan requirements, among other things. 1 year later, 9 total bills related to workforce preparedness and the general goals of the Career Pathways Alliance made it over the finish line. Before I get into the details and implications of each of these new laws, it's important to know the timeline for some of these changes, so you have an idea what you need to worry about now and what you can put on a shelf to deal with later. Only 4 of the changes take effect this fall, and 1 of those 4 is optional. The other bills have later effective dates, some not having any impact until next school year. This is important to know if you're trying to triage your growing to-do list as the new school year gets underway. To begin, let's talk about changes to the Michigan merit curriculum. At this point, you almost certainly know that the world language flexibility in the MMC law has been extended through the class of 2024. Students may continue to substitute an additional arts course or a CTE course sequence for 1 credit of world language. What you may not have realized is that Senate Bill 175, the bill that restored this flexibility, also included a new reporting requirement. Beginning this year, all schools were required to submit a report by September 1st on how many students used the flexibility in the previous year, even if that number was 0. MDE put out a memo on August 9th with details on the data collection. If you missed the memo or need more details, see the link at the bottom of this slide. Senate Bill 343 is a change for middle-level students. It requires that, beginning this year, schools provide 7th grade students with information about in-demand careers when they put their education development plans together. Specifically, students need to be given the Department of Technology, Management, and Budget's Regional Hot Jobs list. This list highlights jobs or career fields projected to be in demand and have continued growth 5 to 10 years into the future. You can find this list for your region by following the link on your screen. Schools may also provide this information to students electronically if they choose. Under Senate Bill 344, schools may give their students a state-approved STEM endorsement on their diploma or transcript if they complete certain courses and credit requirements. The new endorsement is completely optional for districts to offer, and there is no MDE guidance available as of this recording. House Bills 5141 and 5142 expanded Michigan's law that allows districts to hire uncertified instructors to include teachers in CTE and industrial technology courses. The practice of employing uncertified subject matter experts as CTE instructors is not new, but these bills expand that option in 2 ways. First, districts may now employ uncertified CTE instructors at all grade levels K-12, not just high school. Second, this same flexibility now applies to industrial arts courses at all grade levels. Principals should check with the MDE prior to filling a teaching position with an uncertified instructor, since the penalty to a district for employing improperly credentialed educators is a loss of state aid dollars. But if you are struggling to fill an industrial tech position or CTE position, this change may provide you with some options. Senate Bill 684 and 685 will not become law until December 24th of this year, and without MDE guidance, it's unclear if they will force a mid-year shift in school practice or if districts will be allowed to delay the implementation until the 2019-2020 school year. Senate Bill 684 amended the requirements around the Education Development Plan. 7th graders must now be given the opportunity to do both career exploration and to develop talent portfolios as part of their initial EDP development process. And high school students will have to review and update their EDPs annually. Senate Bill 685 imposes a number of new career education requirements. Among them, schools will have to provide all students a variety of work-based learning experiences during both middle level and high school. And graduating seniors will have to demonstrate proficiency in resume writing and other job application skills. MASSP has been advocating that MDE delay enforcement of these new laws until the 2019-2020 school year to avoid the problems that a mid-year change in law would cause. We have also been pushing to make sure principals have guidance as soon as possible so you can plan ahead for implementing these new requirements. Because even if your district already does many of these things required by the bills, you will probably need to tweak your current practice to fit the new laws. Under House Bill 5145, educators will be able to count time spent engaging with employers as professional development. However, the new provision is subject to MDE promulgating rules to put this change in place, and the rule promulgation process takes some time. So for now, there's really nothing schools can or need to do with regard to this new law. Finally, House Bill 5139 will require that beginning in the 2019-2020 school year, schools incorporate grade-appropriate instruction on career development at least once per grade level. MDE will develop a model program of instruction, but schools will not be required to use it. You probably already have this requirement covered, but if not, all the other changes required by the bills we've discussed previously will probably make compliance with this final bill something of an afterthought. We've covered a lot of ground in a short time, so let's recap briefly. The Marshall Plan is making $59 million in competitive grants available to schools. The application period comes in stages between now and October, so if you want to apply, form a talent consortium with local businesses and other groups and get started. For the Career Pathways Alliance bills, remember that only 4 of them apply this fall. It's likely too late for you to utilize the restored Michigan Merit Curriculum flexibility, but know that it's there if you want it. Middle-level folks will want to make sure that students get the DTMB's Hot Jobs list when they develop their initial EDP, and if you're struggling to find a certified teacher for your industrial technology courses or CTE courses, you have some options. Other things are coming down the line, but nothing you can do much about without further guidance from MDE, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching this installment in MASSP's Legislative Screencast series. If you have any questions either about the topics covered here or other legislative issues, please do not hesitate to contact me.